What's up, you guys?
Fast acting today.
All right. So we thought maybe we could stick to our timeline if we got a really big clock. No, just kidding. That's where we did all of our coaching from. But maybe we'll start it. Maybe if it beeped at us, we would not go
Let's
over.
not do that.
All right, guys. So we want to talk today about having a little bit of fun.
Well,
So,
first off, happy weekend if it hasn't felt like the weekend already for you guys.
well, I was gonna say, give us a hello, give us a hi when you jump on. It's Saturday, and it's interesting because how do we know that it's Saturday? I don't know. Maybe some of you don't have to work. So we just went on a walk that was super fun.
Our kids are,
No, just one.
noticing it.
Just one of them. Yeah. So, well, we're gonna talk about our day for a little bit, about why it's so important to have fun. So we actually got up this morning.
Where's Amanda?
Hi, Amanda. I coached breathwork at 7 with 17 amazing people, which was super, super fun. Brandon coached the WOD, and he coached it from the office, and I went downstairs and did it with class, which was super fun. So we had a ton of connection today, which felt really good and much needed for everyone. And then we actually sat in and watched an entire movie. Like, we don't ever watch movies, but I was like, it's been a long week. I don't care who you are, what you've been doing this week. It's been a long week. So we actually sat and watched a movie. And then we went on a walk because that was going to be a great idea with our children. Except for the youngest is, she's a little feisty. So she wanted to be the leader, and then she was trying to catch up to Carson. So Carson was on a bike and Sky was on her scooter, and she almost ran into her and crashed. And then she basically spent the rest of the time pouting because she couldn't go the speed she wanted, or then she crashed and whatever.
Yeah.
But
Does anyone else have kids out there? Anyone else's kids seeming to have a little bit of a lackluster attention span and wanting to listen?
yeah, they're
That's where ours are at.
yeah. And I mean, Carson did really good. And they're all going to have this, right? Like, we're all going to have these days, and so are they. So it's a really good reminder that for all of us, like, we get to be in the moment, and we get, like, we just sort of laughed at Sky. I was like, teenager should be fun. And Brayden's like, yeah. I'm like, I'm going to tap out now. You know, they say that, like, the kid that your child that's more like you is the one you butt heads with. That's Sky. And that's probably why I think it's so funny, because I see myself in her. But anyway, so we wanted to talk today about having fun. So
Well, I think, those that have been with us since we started doing this, was that earlier this week?
Day 6. We're on
That
day
feels
6.
like last week we started this. We've been talking a lot about elements of growth and bringing awareness and understanding and everything else. And, a lot of our friends and people, mentors and stuff that we work with, are viewing this as the same way, right? Like, the same opportunity, same thing. This is a great way as some you time. But honestly, you guys, I'm all for, like, striving towards goals and everything else, but you got to enjoy the process more than anything. And I think the fact of already the circumstances of what it is carries its own amount of weight to it. And if you're constantly on the gas pedal, that gas pedal can only go so far between either you hit the rev limiter or you run out of gas, right? And so I think today we want to talk about is allowing yourself to learn to enjoy what you're doing, right? Like, we literally sat down and watched an Adam Sandler movie. Like, I got to score one for myself. I've actually got my wife to watch 2 ridiculous comedies this week, which never happened. Right? Like, we watched Baywatch and we watched an Adam Sandler movie today.
Next week.
Yeah. So, but I think on some of that, you guys, we need mindless kind of acts, mindless kind of humor. When's the last time that you literally allowed yourself to get up and dance, right? Like, as much as silly as that is, we talk often about, like, music, how it changes our state, changes what we're doing. But literally, when was the last time you got up and started dancing, right? Like,
Dancing's actually really good at moving energy, like, ridiculously good at it.
So, it's been a while since we've gone to dancing, but I remember we used to go all the time, right? And so, but at the same time, like, for court, like, whatever things we do with our girls is sit down and color in a coloring book for an hour, right? Like, allow yourself to have some mindless activities that allow you to get back into your childhood, allow you to get back into just being you as a youthful child. Right? Like, the more we can learn to enjoy these things, you guys, especially if we're already in this, like, super riled up mode that is probably coming on all of us, this is going to be a long 45-ish days. We're going to roll with that.
Well, and I think, too, when we talked earlier in the week about having structure, and we heard from a lot of our athletes, like, thank you for doing these live workouts. Thank you for providing normalcy. Like, we need that. And again, if you guys want to join us for those workouts, you totally can. So this is open for everybody. if you're finding yourself needing that. But it's like create some structure, but it should also be like, okay, it's the weekend, and just because we can't go somewhere, like you could still go outside, you can go on a walk, you can still go hiking, like there's stuff you can still do, but make sure that there's a differentiation between the week and the weekend, right? I mean, I've seen some pretty funny memes of like, I'm going for, the next wine tour, the next traveling, and it's like the picture of their house. But truthfully, let yourself have some difference between Monday through Friday and Saturday and Sunday, right? Otherwise, this is just going to be like a blur of 30 days. It just doesn't feel good. So still create some structure, some differentiation, some time to have fun, right? Like go have a snowball fight. We went and played out in the snow yesterday. We made snow angels. Like you've got to take some breaks and be a little more lighthearted about this, and figure out what you can do, like old school board games, right? Like we have Monopoly. Our children are too young for Monopoly, but we try, right? But like let yourself do some things that are just sort of in the moment, because your kids, like depending on how old your kids are, I'm off on a little tangent, but that's okay. Depending on how old your kids are, like ours don't really get what's going on. So for them, they could be like, that was so much fun. We had so much mom and dad time for so many days, right? Like you could actually make this a really amazing time for them, an amazing time for your family. If you choose to be present, if you choose to be in the moment, and you choose to bring some more fun into the next 30 or 45 days, you're going to be a lot happier person. And you're going to have a little more excitement about going back to work on Monday.
Well, and I know for myself, you guys, and Courtney kind of just hit on it, was the notion, the aspect of presence, right? Like, we were going over whether or not we should go over, because essentially kind of a workshop on love languages, because we're being in a little bit tighter quarters with your significant other, I think, for a lot of us. And I think just understand, I mean, the love languages transcends to anyone, whether it's a romantic relationship or not. But I think being able to understand your partners, understand your own language that you speak. But I think, there's 5 love languages. But honestly, I think there should be a sixth one, which is presence, because I don't care what your language is. If your partner or the person that's trying to project that, or not project, what would that be? Give your language. If they're not present, it doesn't necessarily matter, right? And I know for myself, like we would do activities, we would do all these things, but on my mind, my activity would always be out on something else. And so if you can give the gift of being present and bringing presence to whatever moment you're in, right? Like whether it's playing Monopoly with your kids, drawing, going for a walk, whatever it may be, like I promise everyone else around you will feel it a lot more, but at the same time, I know for myself, when I do consciously bring that into the moment, the experience is a far different experience.
Yeah, and time really will expand, which I was just thinking about saying that, and I'm like, do we want time to expand right now? Maybe we want it to speed up. But time really does expand, and you're going to find a lot more joy and a lot more just happiness in that moment. So give yourself a second, step back and go, what haven't I done that would be really fun, right? Like, what did you do? Like we said, what did you do as a kid? Like, especially if you have kids, go back to like your inner child playing with their inner child. I remember when I was doing my program, one of the assignments was like, do something that didn't have to be productive, which was really weird for me because I'm always being productive. And I sat down and colored with Carson. I was like, wow, I really do feel better, right? And so decide what that is. Is it drawing? Is it coloring? Is it dancing? Is it singing? Like, what can you do that just doesn't feel like you're trying to get somewhere or produce something? If you give yourself that 20 minutes a day, make sure you're doing it on the weekends for sure. This whole thing is going to go by much, much faster.
Well, I think it's also bringing awareness to the intention behind everything, right? Like we talk about that a lot with food with our clients is, where people are like, oh, I slipped up, I had this. And it's like, well, let's take a look at that, right? Like you having chocolate cake with your family or whatever. Okay, that may not be moving the ball in the side of your nutrition, your diet, or whatever you want to, but on a nourishment standpoint, is that actually moving the needle, right? Like, are you nourishing your soul with time with your family, time with your friends, time with loved ones, whatever it may be, right? Like, yes, is chocolate cake non-ideal compared to having vegetables? Absolutely. But at the same time, what's the intention behind it, right? Like, my intention is to be present in the moment, to allow this to be a much more joyous experience by me doing this, right? Like, and I think for both of us, we found when we're always on the gas pedal and going, there's that side of guilt when all of a sudden we basically, hey, I got to sit down for the next 15 minutes. I got to sit down and spend some time with the kids. I got to do this. But I promise I'll get back to work. Because it's like, that's not what it necessarily is about. And I think it's really easy to get yourself wrapped up into that when you aren't allowing yourself to be present and able to enjoy every interaction and every experience that you have.
Well, and especially if you haven't been working from home and now maybe you feel like you don't know how to turn it off. I mean, we've worked from home for a very long time and it's still hard to turn it off. So just be conscious and be aware of that and just give yourself that space and just go do something that you haven't done in a while and see how fun it is, right? Like, you can't probably go do the things you were doing, so what else can you do, right? So we just encourage you guys, have a little more fun, be a little more relaxed, be more present, and you're going to end up just in a better place at the end of this.
One little thing I think that we can all benefit from. What is one thing, and I would love for everyone to put it out here, you can write it right now if you want to. What is one activity that is a mindless, non-productive activity that you would love to do by either the end of the weekend or by the end of next week? Right? Like, what would it be? A movie? Would it be coloring? Would it be dancing? Would it be
playing with your dog? Kelly, I loved your video. She was out playing fetch in the snow.
Yeah. So what would it be?
Go build a snowman. Yeah. So think about that. There's like a super lag when people comment, but if you guys want to drop those there. The other thing I want to say is that for me, exercise has always been fun, right? Like, working out has always been fun. CrossFitting has always been fun. So think about, like, can you make that fun again? Like, can you make going for a run fun because you're out running just to run and be in the fresh air and not to, like, set a PR or time your miles or, you know, and so what other things can you do that are gonna increase that? I know for me, like I said, I went downstairs and worked out with Brandon coaching us via Zoom. I went to the basement and did that because it's way more fun that way. So can you align yourself with a group of people, you know, that are doing that? Can you high five, right? Like, we had virtual high fives and we all got to at least say hello and do that kind of stuff. So what other things can you do that are fun? And what are some things that maybe you wanted to do for yourself that you could change the intention on, so that you get to have more fun and feel better by the end of this quarantine. I did see something today. My friend Christina posted it and it was pretty funny. It was like, I'm going to have a 6-pack. I'm going to be in the best shape of my life. My chakras are going to be aligned. I'm going to have my, like, vision board done. Or I'm going to sit on the couch, drink a bunch of alcohol, and, you know, it's not exactly what it said, but it's basically like, I'm going to do amazing, or I'm going to be like, oh boy, this is really bad. And she was funny because she was like, right now I'm teetering between the two, right? And I think we're all feeling that a little bit. So really think about, how do you want to show up in the moment in this? This is a journey, right? These 30 days, these 45 days, they are a journey all in of themselves. So what can you learn in this? How much more fun can you have? And how are you going to feel at the end of it?
Well, and if you can teach yourself to enjoy this and have fun during this, like, think once this is over, right? Like, if you can arrive for yourself and just set the goal of, no matter what life throws at me, I'm going to do my best to enjoy it, put a smile on my face. And that doesn't mean you have to be fake or not honor the things that we've been talking about, right? Like, but in the same side of, like, you get what you see, right? Like, you get what you see in life, right? Like, you can look at this very easily and just be in a very miserable place. Or you can also choose to see the time that as we haven't had in the last, you know, I know for us, in the last especially 10 years of our life, we haven't had this much time, right? And so, yet again, it's seeing this as an opportunity, but I think more than anything is seeing it as an opportunity for you to build enjoyment into your life, so that when this is all over, it's already going to be a practice repetition that you can live for the rest of your life.
Yeah, totally. Awesome, you guys. So take the time, go do something fun. We'll probably jump on for a short video tomorrow, trying to do a couple books and working on. Yeah, totally, right? Like, I haven't had time to dive in my camera. I actually said I was going to take the time to,
Nice.
to, what does it say? An adventure, change your language. Yes, totally.
Nice.
I was like, I should take this time to actually decorate our house. Unfortunately, our house doesn't feel all that homey because we haven't had time. So I was like, oh, this would be kind of fun. So anyway, we love you guys. We appreciate you. We'll jump on for a quick chat tomorrow. Thank you guys for being on. Again, if you want to join us for the Shift Happens program, it's going to be at least 30 days. We're starting with 30.
And we're not going to have necessarily a start and a stop on that, you guys. So, I mean, the goal here is we all come together on this mission to allow us to grow, progress, and do it together, right? Like, I mean, ultimately, this is much more about the community and doing things together and holding each other accountable to coming out on the end of this as better human beings and just better, just overall people.
Yeah,
So,
just supporting each other. So like we said, you'll get the workouts every day. You'll get live coaching from us, which we've heard even from our athletes that are pretty dedicated, that it's way easier when